All Access PD Grand Rapids offers an unprecedented access to the inner workings of the Grand Rapids Police Department. Today I have Chief Eric Winstrom. How are you, Chief?
I'm great. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me today.
Well, thank you for taking time to not only talk to me, but talk about this very interesting series. And I got a chance to see a little bit of it. Man, you guys, it's no different than the big city, is it?
Just on a smaller scale, I came from the city of Chicago where I did 20 plus years as a police officer, and there's certainly less crime here, but that also means we have a lot less police officers to deal with the crime that does happen, and we certainly get our share.
How has that transition been from Chicago to Grand Rapids?
Well, it was a bit of a challenge. There was a early on, just a couple weeks when I started, we had a very high profile officer involved shooting, which really highlighted to me the need for trust building in our community. Because the truth is, the police can't be charged with bringing public safety all on our own. It's really we're all in this together. And once you completely lose the trust of the city, you're going down a bad path. So it's been a very challenging 3 years, but very rewarding too, as I see it pay off.
Let's talk about some of the rewards. What have you seen paying off so far?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Just about a week or maybe 10 days ago, there was a video posted on the internet of an arrest, and 3 years ago, the community leaders would have reached out to me and said, hey, Eric, what is this? We have this video of excessive force, explain yourself, and really the defensive. And that narrative has all changed now, where the leaders in the community will reach out to me and ask, hey, Eric, what's social media getting wrong on this? What can we say to our constituents, to our elected officials? What can I say because it's the stories change from, well, obviously the police are wrong, and now defend yourself, to, hey, we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. We're imperfect. I don't expect the media or our politicians or community leaders to be police cheerleaders, but recognizing that we're in a place where we are fully transparent. I want to be as transparent as possible. And I hold my officers to a very high standard of accountability, and they're proud of it now. They want to be known as being held to high standards. They know it, and they're good with that. So a lot has changed in 3 years, and I think we're still headed in a good direction.
Now, what can we expect to see on All Access PD Grand Rapids?
I think, well, it's called All Access for a reason. We've had cameras literally positioned throughout our entire police department, but also we gave the documentary crew access to our in-car camera and our body-worn camera videos. But also there was 24/7 camera crews that had carte blanche. They could follow our police officers, detectives, our command staff. They could walk in my office here anytime they wanted. There literally was no conditions. But even though they were so sort of invasive, it only took a week or so until it just felt like they were a fly on the wall. They were never given direction. There was no script. They never got in the way. And so really what they're capturing in is what you generally wouldn't see if you're not a police officer. And that's how we do things on a day-to-day basis. And I think one of the positives for me is that it shows that police officers are human too, and kind, compassionate, caring. And I think that really comes through.
You know what's most interesting to me is the murder of a 15-year-old in Grand Rapids is no different than a murder in Chicago, St. Louis, San Diego, Indianapolis. Talk about that a little bit.
That's so true. And if I was to come up with a different of said, say Chicago versus Grand Rapids, I know in my time in Chicago, we'd have a teenager killed, and that story would be off the front pages the next day. You wouldn't even see it on the news. And my fear here, when we have a teenager killed, a young person, that I don't want to become a city that becomes numb to this sort of violence, especially to our young people. And so that's a challenge for us. This first episode features the case where Millie Penn is a 15-year-old boy just out playing football. And I think what you're going to see different from other police procedural shows is not only does it show the police response, it shows the detectives and how they go about their work, but it also shows the impact it had on Millie's family and our community on the city as a whole. And I think it really humanizes things.
Very interesting. You're absolutely right because even in other big cities, you hear about it one day and the next day you hear about something totally different. And it's like you don't even think
Right.
about what happened. Not at all.
That's right. And now this show you'll see if that was the case here. This is I mean, I talked to Corey, Millie's father yesterday, called me after the series aired. And so, this family, they'll never fully heal. There will never be closure. So the fact that it's off the front pages the next day, that there's real humans that are suffering for really for years and for the rest of their lives, this loss.
I've been speaking with Chief Eric Winstrom for All Access PD Grand Rapids. One of the last things I got to ask you, Eric, is this. You went to Rutgers University?
Scarlet Knights, baby.
They didn't have such a bad football team this year either, did they?
No, I think they went 0-11 twice when I was a student there, though. So they could only go up from there. So they're getting better from when I was there. We'll see. This maybe next year's our year.
Yeah, maybe next year. Chief, thank you so much
Maybe.
for joining us on Morning Blend and talking about All Access PD Grand Rapids. Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
All right.